I never believed in ghosts. To me, they were just bedtime stories meant to keep kids up at night. But that all changed one evening in my childhood home. I was alone, the quiet kind of night where the silence feels heavy, almost alive. The house was still, no TV, no distractions, just me and the familiar creaks of the old house settling. And then, it started. A faint, almost imperceptible whisper, like someone muttering just out of earshot. I brushed it off at first, thinking it was my imagination, but the sound persisted, growing clearer. It was the kind of whisper that wraps around your ears, distinct yet impossible to make out. It felt personal, like it knew I was listening. I turned on every light in the room, trying to chase away the darkness, but the whispers only grew bolder, circling me, taunting me. The room turned cold, unnaturally cold, as if all the warmth had been sucked out in an instant. And then, I saw it. A shadow darker than the surrounding night, creeping along the wall. It moved with purpose, gliding slowly, almost deliberately, like it wanted me to see it. The temperature dropped further, and my breath misted in the air. I could feel something watching me, something I couldn't see. The whispers turned frantic, overlapping voices, some sounding angry, others pleading. They were coming from everywhere, and nowhere at once. I tried to run, but I couldn't move. My legs felt heavy, like I was trapped in a nightmare. The shadow seemed to grow, stretching toward me, and then, right beside my ear, I heard a single clear voice, dripping with malice. "Get out." I sprinted upstairs, my heart pounding, slamming the bedroom door behind me. But the whispers didn't stop. They followed me, seeping through the walls, growing louder and louder. I didn't sleep that night, or any night after that in that house. The whispering shadows haunted every corner, every creak of the floorboard, every flicker of the light. I moved out, but the feeling never left. Even now, in the dead of night, I still hear it sometimes. Soft whispers calling my name, just waiting for me to listen. There's a forest near my old home, thick with trees that seem to whisper secrets. Growing up, we all heard the stories, tales of strange sightings, odd sounds, and a feeling that something was always watching. But no one really believed it, until it happened to me. One restless evening, I ignored the warnings and ventured in alone, the fading sunlight casting long, eerie shadows. The deeper I went, the quieter the world became, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. I heard my own footsteps crunching on the leaves, but then there were other footsteps. Slow, heavy, matching mine. I stopped, and they stopped. I turned, scanning the dense trees, but there was nothing. Just the unsettling silence of the woods. I tried to brush it off, telling myself it was just an animal. But as I walked, the footsteps started again, this time closer, louder, and more deliberate. My heart pounded as I glanced over my shoulder, and that's when I saw it. A figure, unnaturally tall and thin, standing perfectly still among the trees. Its limbs were long, almost skeletal, and its head tilted slightly, as if observing me. Its eyes, or what I thought were eyes, were hollow, empty, like black pits that absorbed all the light. It didn't move, didn't make a sound, but I could feel its gaze, heavy and menacing. The air around it seemed to distort, like a heat wave in the dead of night. I wanted to run, but my legs felt like lead, my body refusing to obey. Then it took a step. A single slow step that echoed like thunder in the silence. I didn't wait to see more. I turned and ran, branches slashing at my skin, my breath ragged and shallow. The footsteps behind me were faster now, chasing me with every stride. I could feel it gaining on me, every step sending chills down my spine. I burst out of the woods, gasping for air. And when I finally dared to look back, it was gone. But the fear wasn't. That feeling of being watched, it never left me. Sometimes, late at night, when the wind howls through the trees, I hear those footsteps just beyond my window, pacing back and forth as if waiting for me to come back. I know it's still there, somewhere, watching. The apartment seemed perfect at first, old but charming, with just the right amount of character. I was excited to move in, but there was one part of the building I was never told about: the basement. One afternoon, while unpacking, I stumbled upon a small weathered door hidden behind some old, dusty boxes. It was strange, out of place, almost like it was meant to be forgotten. Curiosity got the better of me, so I pushed it open. The door groaned, revealing a narrow staircase descending into darkness. The air was thick and suffocating, the kind of cold that creeps into your bones. I took a cautious step down, each creak of the wooden stairs echoing ominously around me. At the bottom, there was a room that shouldn't have been there. Windowless, claustrophobic, with walls covered in strange symbols, red, faded, and sinister. In the center of the room was a single wooden chair facing the wall. It was positioned with an unsettling precision, like it had been placed there for a reason. My skin prickled as I moved closer, my instincts screaming at me to leave. But before I could turn, I heard it. A soft, rhythmic tapping, gentle at first, then louder, more insistent. I realized with a jolt of terror that the chair had moved, just a fraction, as if someone had been sitting there moments before. The room felt wrong. The air was heavy, charged with something dark and unexplainable. My vision blurred, and for a brief moment I thought I saw a figure standing by the wall, its back to me, hunched and shivering. I blinked, and it was gone, but the feeling of being watched was overwhelming. I bolted up the stairs, slamming the door shut, but the tapping continued, muffled now but still there, like a heartbeat coming from the walls. From that day on, strange things began to happen. Objects moved on their own, lights flickered, and I'd wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of tapping echoing through the apartment. I moved out as soon as I could, but the memory of that room still haunts me. I can't shake the feeling that whatever was in that basement didn't stay behind. It's with me, lingering in the dark corners of my mind, waiting, watching, tapping. There are things in this world that defy logic, places that hold on to darkness, and entities that never truly leave. We may try to forget, but the shadows never let us. Remember, when you feel that chill, when you hear that faint whisper, when something just doesn't feel right, you're not alone. You're never alone. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unknown on Spooky Stories. If you have your own terrifying tale, let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that will keep you up at night. Until next time, sleep tight.